Hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another cast, another game, another epic fight in the best RTS ever made. It's funny. There's currently a Steam event slash sale going on called RTS Fest, and there's all these new-fangled, modern age, new age RTSs that everyone's trying to sell to us. But, it just makes me appreciate the good old days. Back in 1997 when this game was released, the best RTS of all time, Total Annihilation, still around almost 30 years later, still going strong. We still have an epic community. We've got all kinds of mods. And guys, speaking of that, I do want to make a small announcement. We are having a big tournament. So we're going to have a huge tournament coming up. We haven't decided all the details, but it's either going to be Escalation versus Pro TA, where we take the best players from both communities and pit them against each other in their respective mods, or we're going to have just a huge Escalation tournament. Either way, guys, we got big things coming up. I'm probably going to be, whenever this tournament happens, I'm going to be making like a massively long video or actually mini videos. So this channel is going to have all kinds of content. Keep your eye out for that. I'll be posting an announcement video soon about the details. And but let's get into this game, because this game in particular is a 3v3 with some of the highest level players in the entire Escalation community. And I'm very excited to bring this to you because typically I do not cast 3v3s with this level of skill. So I'm very, very excited to bring that to you. Let me go ahead and introduce the players. Here in the northern team on the top left is Mr. Tag Rock, starting vehicles first. In blue we have Harold, widely considered the best of the best, starting vehicles first. And in dark green we have EXE, probably the fan favorite of the entire channel for his zany and aggressive, unorthodox playstyle, starting K-bots first. Because of course he is. EXE never does anything properly, but he still finds a way. So that's our northern team, and that is a star-studded cast. Rock, Harold, and EXE all on a team. Oh, it gives me chills just thinking about how strong that is. But not to be outdone by the southern team, we have Favela here in pink starting K-bots first. We've got Nimtodem, one of the all-time greats, starting vehicles first. And finally, we have Mr. Stagma Jr., the one and only, starting vehicles first and second as well. So with that out of the way, with the introductions out of the way, like I said, I am very excited. We don't typically see a high-level 3v3 with this caliber of skill, and I'm very excited to see how this game plays out with such high-level players in Escalation. So, guys, there are all kinds of really exciting things coming up in the OTA world. I mentioned the tournament, and I've got more details on that. But there's also a new mod coming out that sort of bridges the gap between Escalation and Pro TA. That has a whole different group of players, but I'm actually going to be casting one of those pretty soon. So lots of cool and exciting events coming up. Things to be excited for. This game is still going strong. Do not despair. Things are more exciting and I think more lively than ever in the TA community. So keep your eyes peeled. Lots of really interesting and I don't know, just amazing developments that are going to be coming along in the next few weeks. And I will try to keep you apprised of all of them. But right now, the game is still pretty even. Both sides doing some nice raiding or getting a little bit of work done, but nothing too catastrophic either way. Neither team has a huge advantage in terms of their rating, but Favela with the first bombing run of the game, and it looks like he'll get a few mexes there. It looks like at least 3, maybe more. Not the most effective bombing run I've ever seen in my entire casting career, but certainly nothing to scoff at either. He did kill a few mexes after all. But man, I really do like the different play styles of all these highly skilled pros. And I will try to be sort of mentioning the differences in their respective styles as this game progresses. But right now there's already action happening all over the entire map. Rock seems to have found a little bit of an opening into Pink's base. And killing perhaps a couple mexes, probably not much more. This wasn't a super successful attack, but it's not over. Rock has more instigators coming in from the east, and EXE with a nicely timed Pee-wee and flash push here in the southeast, hitting Stagma's base. Stagma struggling to respond to that one, but he does have a decent amount of flashes to protect himself. This construction vehicle in trouble. He's trying to nano block, but it won't work. He will lose that con, and that is a pretty crippling blow at this stage of the game. And it looks like Rock's push was successful there. He's taken out all those defenses. He's taken out a lot of mexes. And it will require Green moving to the west to help him. So at this very moment, I would say the northern team is ahead. They've you can see they've got better map control. Pink's base has been decimated here in the north. And we still have units streaming down. Herald with a nice leveler. But just in terms of the positionality, I think the northern team definitely with a slight advantage at this stage. Of course, it's nowhere near over, as either team can certainly establish control of the game or make up for any early game inadequacies that they may have fallen victim to. But yeah, let's keep an eye on the player bases. I want to see when everyone moves to T2. Herald already moving to T2 at around the 11-minute mark. Dark green doesn't seem like it. Herald is the only player on the northern team right now. Rock content to stay on T1 a little bit longer. And Nim also on T1. So right now it looks like Herald is the only player. No, I take that back. Stagma also moving to T2. So interesting choice by blue and red, our only players moving to T2. And Stagma looks to be a little bit faster, but he's only got one construction vehicle at the moment, so that's going to take a little bit of time. Where Herald, it looks like he's got 3 cons, so Herald will probably get to T2 first at the rate things are going. And we'll have to see what he wants to do with it. I assume Herald being Herald, he'll start out with some cons and get his eco going before he really commits into, say, Reapers or Goliaths or anything of that nature, maybe Manticore as well. But yeah, still a very even game. EXE putting on a lot of pressure. Look at all of the Rockos. And if he can micro this well, he should be able to deal with Stagma's army. Of course, he's not microing it perfectly. Now he is finally kiting, but the thing with Rockos is you want to be able to kite the flashes. You don't want to let them get in range. The Rockos have a very nice firing range that they can pelt down those battle tanks in no time at all. And of course, flashes want to get on top of the K-bots if they can, and it all depends on micro. It all sort of depends on how the engagement plays out. So let's see how these players want to tackle this. I like that Stagma's building some tossers. These are the newly buffed tossers in patch 999, and they can fire in a direct arc, where before they had to fire vertically. They still can fire vertically, but they now have the option to fire horizontally like this, and that's a really interesting new feature because it gives them a lot more combat value. Previously, the tossers were a lot like they are in Bar, where they pretty much are only useful at stationary targets because their shells fire in like in the vertical arc, and they take forever to reach the target. So any mobile unit will have long moved out of the way. EXE not with the best micro, I have to say. He must be focusing on other things because these Rockos are not being controlled very well. The flashes really shouldn't even get in range of those. But I do like the use of tossers by Stalemate. It's an interesting new twist on the T1 combat after this patch that changed the tossers. So a lot of fighting here happening in the west as well. Rock, I think now on T2, just now almost there. And Herald is predicted, not rushing out any early Reapers or Manticore, going straight into several advanced cons just to get his economy ahead of everyone else in the game. And see, Nimtodum, he should be, yeah, he's also on T2. So everyone is now teching up, and we are reaching that phase of the game where once things get to T2, it does often slow down. Both teams will begin fortifying their respective sides, building some of these stronger T2 defenses that are more difficult to break through. And it becomes harder to actually break through onto the enemy's part of the map and win like that. But it can always happen. I've cast plenty of games like this where all it takes is one very vicious push to cause a single player to crumble. And then it has a chain reaction effect where the entire enemy team will begin to fall like dominoes. So never get too comfortable in these team games. Anything can happen. Anything will happen. But I really like what EXE is doing here. This is one of the pleasures of watching EXE, is like you never quite know what sort of strategy he's going to pull out of his hat, but this is an interesting one. He's just stayed on T1 for longer than anyone and has truly committed to it, even with warriors and stumpies are really interesting. These are the tankiest units on T1 for ARM. So building a terrifyingly destructive and hard to kill army, and a couple of flashes have made it through, killing the con, and now focusing the Geo. I think it will get it. Stalemate rushing some Panthers out to try and stop the bleeding, but EXE looking great. This is so much pressure, and Panthers are powerful, but they're truly an early T2 type unit, and they can be overwhelmed with enough T1. So this will cause Nimtodum to have to come and assist his teammate, who's already lost a lot. Just looking at the map, this whole part of his base has been ripped asunder, and now Stalemate doing his level best to try and pull it together. Now getting a Moho extractor. The southern team definitely playing defense, and as they have for most of the game. But I really like what EXE is doing, man. He's on the T1 game plan. He does have a advanced K-Bot lab, but at the moment he's only really using it to build advanced constructors. And I think he just finished it. I mean, like literally within the past 30 seconds did he finish that. So I like what EXE's doing a lot, but unfortunately, I think with Bright Green's help, the southern team will be able to stop EXE from just killing Stalemate. And in the meantime, I think Herald he's just building enough raiders to defend himself. Guys, raiders are like a brick wall. Raiders and stumpies, they don't do the most damage, but they are so dang hard to kill. And in this situation where you've got a lot of defenses, so if you've got a lot of heavy laser towers, Stumpies are fantastic. Stumpies and Raiders, because it just takes so long to kill them, and then your defenses, which have a very high DPS, can clean up the entire attacking force. So Harold is very aware of this. He's building these Raiders on purpose as just a defensive measure, making his base nearly impenetrable at this phase of the game. But that single Panther from Nimtodem getting a little bit of work done, killing some mexes, and otherwise just being a general annoyance. 4 mexes killed, just right there alone, not to mention anywhere else. And now Stagma attempting his own attack. He's got a few Panthers in the mix. Nothing too terrifying. There's no Bulldogs. And his force, I don't think, is truly large enough to cause EXE to panic. But Rock's army may cause Pink to panic. Man, every time I watch Rock, it's like this. Rock he's a master at creating these overwhelming armies of units and just crushing his opponent with sheer firepower. I mean, Rock, his playstyle, it's like I almost never see him do things that are that unexpected or out of the box. He's just so good at the fundamentals of the game. And he just make bigger army, smash against face. That's it. That's the strategy. That's all it takes. It's the ogre with the bigger club. Sometimes that's what it all boils down to. And Rock certainly, with the biggest club of them all, innuendo is absolutely intentional. I do like the EXE with this Maverick. Maverick's really great in this kind of situation where you're only facing Panthers in T1. So, yeah, the game is still pretty close, but definitely Stagma's counterattack has been pretty good here. It's dealt some damage to EXE. And Rock's attack does look like it eventually was stopped, but that was only because Green came to help. Otherwise, Rock may have just killed Pink altogether. So Green definitely the unsung hero of this game. I think he's had to protect both of his teammates, and he's had enough defenses to protect himself, and Harold really hasn't been that aggressive anyway. So Green has had the opportunity to play defense for his teammates. So I don't know what Harold's doing. I think Harold is just kind of powering up. So guys, ooh, this is part of what Harold's doing. He's got a neutralizer, the tactical nuke. Escalation exclusive missile launcher. So guys, one thing that's really interesting, if you follow or study RTS at all, there's several different styles of play that have become standardized. But one of them is like this, it's called powering up. And it's a sort of style where you play pretty defensively early on. You sacrifice most of your offensive potential with the understanding that you're not really trying to win the game early. You build only enough units and defenses to protect yourself. And then you just mega boost your eco and your production until you reach a point that you can produce such a massive and impressive army that you can crush your opponent, who's sort of been sending waves of units at you and just breaking against your walls. So that seems like what Harold is doing this game. He's just been powering up. He hasn't really been raiding that much. Hasn't really even been helping his teammates. He's just, of course, it's sort of, as you can see, Harold, his base is a little bit confined between his two teammates. So we'll have to see what he does. But right now, Pink pushing back with a little bit of a vengeance. Rock building more. Ooh, the triple barrel Reapers. I think that's a new thing with this patch as well. With the upgraded factory, you can get the triple barrel Reapers. And I do like the EXE, like I said, is including Mavericks into the mix, but I'd like him to have a few more. I think EXE has really... He stopped committing into this ground push that he was doing earlier, and now I assume is going to be focusing on advanced air. But Rock, perhaps in a little bit of trouble. Seems like he stopped his production quite a bit too. I don't know if he's just been ecoing up himself, but well, he did upgrade his factory. So guys, upgrading your vehicle plant to the next stage so that you can produce the super units, that's not cheap. And it also prevents you from making any units while you're doing it. So that might be why Rock is a little bit behind now. But he does have the triple barrel Reapers, and that will possibly make up for his small what's the word I'm looking for? The short respite that he took in his production. He's got to be careful. He might lose this con. Yeah, he will lose one. Perhaps lose a second con. He's got to be careful. So the advanced construction vehicle stays alive, and that's a big deal. Of course, he needs to finish this emulator, I think. That would be good to do. But right now, the northern team looks like they're falling behind. The southern team now has all the momentum. Of course, Harold's base is sufficiently impenetrable, I think. But unfortunately, EXE and Rock, their bases looking a lot more vulnerable. Pink did some serious damage, taking out a lot of the eco and defenses for our orange player, and EXE lost a lot as well. So kudos to Stagma and Pink. And I think Harold, he's I'm not sure what he's doing exactly. He is still building up an army, but he's played pretty defensively this game. And for Nimtonum also well, let's just look at the eco. As I said, Harold probably with the best eco in the game right now. Not by a ton, but he's definitely at the top, and I think that's just because he's been focusing on his economy more than anyone else. And playing more defensively than anyone else. So we'll have to see if it actually pays off. Looks like EXE sort of yelling at Harold to build some defenses here and protect him. Probably because some units did move through here earlier on and got into EXE's base. So EXE not too fond of being backdoored because his teammate is... Okay, Harold does launch a nice tactical nuke, which will take out some of Stagma's army there. But EXE now asking if Harold is AFK. I will say Harold not AFK exactly. He is using his tactical nuke launcher. But it's more of just Harold's playing, I would almost say the TRP style. But not quite the TRP style, because if it was truly the TRP style, he wouldn't participate for another 30 minutes. If you're playing TRP, you cannot engage in the battle until at least an hour, and I'm sure Harold will start playing long before that. In fact, he may be forced to play right now because Green finally ready to do a frontal assault into his defenses, but I don't know about this. Harold is very, very well defended. Look at all of the Dragon's Teeth. And even with these triple barrel bulldogs, I honestly think Green would have been much better off to move his army this way and go into Rock's base where they've already killed most of the defenses. But nonetheless, Green will not be deterred. He will bang his head against the wall and perhaps break through it. But Harold doing his own little attack here in the south. And EXE with an attack of his own. Lots of Mavericks there as well. But I do think that, fortunately or unfortunately, Harold may have just enough to hold this. with all of these Vandals. Core equivalent to the Tossers and the upgraded Goliaths. But he may lose the... In fact, yeah, he will lose the tactical nuke for his trouble, so... Nice push by Nymptodem. That is just so many Bulldogs. It's kind of an impressive number. And the amount of firepower on both sides, rather impressive, but again, I think Harold will just hold this. But can EXE hold his side? There were so many heavy laser towers here. The Bulldogs have just shredded through them. EXE bringing some Mavericks into the fray. But I don't know if Mavericks can stop this many Bulldogs. I guess we'll find out. I like the spread. As you can see, EXE spreading out his Mavericks. He doesn't want any of them to get hit with the AoE. And he does have some Tossers up there as well. So with these Mavericks, this push may be just cleaned up. Man, the Northern team definitely on the back foot in this position. Just hanging on for dear life. Harold had just enough defenses to stop this push, but I think Harold's production now is going to be pretty damn strong with 2 upgraded advanced vehicle plants pumping out Goliaths. It will be difficult to break him from this point. And of course, Rock is the definition of difficult to break. So even though this game has been action-packed and a lot of aggression on both sides, it is still very close. But I do think EXE, as you can see, his base is perhaps smaller than anyone's. He's lost a lot. There's a lot of metal that he's not using. You can see here and here. But there is a lot of reclaim potential to perhaps get his economy back in shape. Look at all the firepower. Like I said, this was Harold's plans all along. Harold's plan this game, it might have looked like he was AFK, but his plan all along was to reach a point in his production and his eco that he could simply overwhelm anyone with just the amount of firepower that he can produce. So don't count him out just yet, but Nymptodem's eco is still very strong too. He's floating a little bit of metal, unfortunately, but it looks like he's making 173 per second. It's even more than Harold. So if Nymptodem can get his economy, get his production together, and get his factories working in full force, get his eco under control, he might stand a chance against Harold. But it is a very close battle. But I really think these little Vandals, which were basically useless in the last patch, they're making the difference in this fight. They're kind of like mini Lugers now. Let's check out the battle happening on the eastern side. EXE continuing to hold on for dear life, but Stagma, he's building a potentially game-ending number of Bulldogs backed up by his own Tossers. So EXE is going to have his work cut out for him. He really needs to perhaps build some spiders to paralyze the Bulldogs, give his army a fighting chance. Stagma saying brawlers make AA, but guys, it's a little too late, I think. The owner of these brawlers, Mr. EXE, he's looking for targets. He's probably looking for commanders. So this is what EXE's been up to, but there is a flacker. 2 flackers. It just isn't. Stagma was ready, bro. Stagma was not going to fall victim to this kind of cheese. However, Nymptodem wasn't ready, and there is not a single air defense anywhere to be found. And with that, EXE, he has found the weak link. He has found the avenue of approach now, taking out Nymptodem's eco. But luckily for him, Stagma did have some fighters in reserve. But as you can see, EXE's investment into that brawler attack, as cheeky as it was, it did put him behind in the sheer amount of ground forces. Now, I would like to see EXE use brawlers defensively here, and maybe if he brought some brawlers into the fray, this might help him stop this push. But EXE, I think, is doing worse than anyone economically. His base has simply been shattered, and his defenses are gone, and now just doing his best to try and hang on as Stagma continues to apply the endless pressure. All of these bulldogs with the tossers creating an existential threat for our Russian legend, doing what he can, but will it be enough? I mean, it's a lot of Zeuses, and EXE is on this advanced vehicle plant, the upgraded one, so I think he'll be able to hold on at least for now. But unfortunately, Stagma has a second attack moving into Harold's base, so while he's got EXE busy trying to stop him on this side, he's doing a dual-pronged attack with Nimtodem, and this could be game-ending for Harold. He's getting 2v1 now. He's on 3 advanced vehicle plants so far. It doesn't look like anyone is even attempting to move to T3. The game has been way too close for that. Both teams have just been locked in an eternal battle since basically minute 1. And, man, Stagma. That is a scary-looking army. EXE scrambling from the east to try and protect his battered and besieged teammate Harold, who now is not even able to use his metal. How is that even possible? He's got 3 advanced vehicle plants, all pumping out units non-stop, but he can't use his metal. He must be reclaiming somewhere. He's struggling to use all the reclaim, but man, with this dual-pronged attack, he is in serious trouble. He's going to lose Moho extractors galore. All of his defenses are already gone, and most of his army is gone. And he's got to create kind of a final desperate line of Goliaths if he wants any chance of staying in this game. I really like what Stagma did there. He moved a force over here to distract EXE, and then at the same time, with a secondary push, a dual-pronged attack. Great teamwork between red and green. But EXE now bringing brawlers into the fray. Rock bringing some fighters for air support. Stagma bringing his own fighters to try and shoot down the brawlers, but Rock is ready. He's got those Avengers. They are they're down to clown. They're definitely ruling the sky as EXE's brawlers do the impossible and keep his teammates, keep Harold from facing certain death. That was a terrifying double push there from Nimtodem and Stagma, but it will be stopped short. The issue that I'm having basically is that the northern team has just lost so much economically. They've lost so much, so many Mohos. EXE slowly expanding back out, but let's not count the northern team out yet, because there is a lot of reclaim on the ground. This is one of the things that makes TA the best RTS of all time, is that even if you fall behind, you always have the corpses of your opponent's last army on your doorstep that you can reclaim and give you an opportunity to get back into the game. So can Harold do it? He's got a lot of Reapers here. Rock has some units of his own, and EXE with his counterattack of Bulldogs, but this may not be enough. Still looking really good for the southern team, and Stagma working on a bomber play. I'm really surprised that nobody has transitioned to T3 yet. We're at that phase of the game where you would expect that not only one, but several people would already be moving there. But as of present, I don't see anybody. headed in that direction. I think Harold will be the last person. Oh, no, I take that back. Harold's the first person. So this is partly why Harold, I think, was unable to defend himself. He's invested a lot into this ultra vehicle plant, so that will be a huge burden on his eco. But if he can get it finished, this may give him an opportunity, a path back into the game, and a way to perhaps stop green and red from bullying him. But what is EXE's path back into the game? He's lost a lot. His base is in shambles. He is building some T2 bombers now. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think EXE just trying to hold on. I think EXE just building an army. Maybe he's aware that Harold is moving to T3. So, guys, one cool thing is that not every player has to be on T3 in Escalation for your team to benefit. Harold, if he just sends one of his ultra construction vehicles to EXE can still upgrade his eco and benefit pretty tremendously. So EXE perhaps he's aware of this. Just needs to hang on. Needs to stop Stagma from killing him. If he can do that, then with Harold being the only player on T3, the Northern team stands a decent chance of coming back. It's definitely been, the Southern team has been in the driver's seat for the past 20 or so minutes, but with Harold on T3, that's not, it's far from over, especially because I don't see anyone. Okay, now Nimtonem is also moving to T3 himself, but guys, Harold's already there. He's already way ahead of everyone else. So Rock attempting to break through as well. But I think Green will have enough here to help Pink survive. And with that, the game will continue. As close as it's been at several points to one or more players losing everything. Great teamwork on both sides. Really, really hanging on. Yeah, great. Like I said, great teamwork from everyone in this game. I've just been really impressed. So, I'm going to try to keep an eye on this bombing run that Stagma has. He's got quite a few Thunders prepared, and it doesn't seem like EXE has the most air defense. He's got some. He has a flacker here. But I think if Stagma moves up the east side and finds some juicy targets, that bomber play could actually come in useful. There's a potential to cripple EXE's production or economy. As Stagma definitely, I think, having the superior army, excuse me. EXE, I don't know what's going on. It almost looks like EXE's lagging. His units are walking in place. Certainly not an ideal situation. Either that or the recorder is bugged out. Oh, no. Yeah, EXE was definitely lagging there. Sometimes having connection or ping issues. You can definitely tell that he's struggling here. And I don't know if he recovers. Okay. He does recover. The game was paused, but EXE is back. His units just teleported all over the map. But the show must go on. And will go on. EXE is still hanging on for dear life. Bringing the brawlers into the fray, using the gunships for protection. He will find a way to survive I feel like EXE is just relying on Herald here. Herald's got to be the one to take this game back for the northern team. But unfortunately, Nimtodem is also on T3 now, so whatever advantage Herald had, Nimtodem can definitely nullify it. But it will still come down to the choices these players make. It is an interesting choice for Herald to only be building the regular behemoths. Herald definitely could have upgraded the Ultra Vehicle plant to get the Megabit triple barrel behemoth, but instead deciding that just the regular behemoths will have to do. Perhaps it's that desperate of a situation that he feels that he has to produce units as quickly as possible. The Ultra Vehicle plant upgrade is not cheap at all. Let's see how much it is. It's 7,500 metal and 225,000 energy. So that is nothing to scoff at, my friends. And look at all of Nimtodem's bulldogs. I like that Herald, including some diplomats into the fray. And Rock continuing to put pressure on his pink opponent, but with Green's help, it doesn't seem like he's going to be breaking through anytime soon. I wonder if Rock has any kind of backup plan. Oh, Rock does have a backup plan. T3 is also Rock's backup plan. And EXE's backup plan, I think, is just hanging on. EXE not having the best game for sure. He's been at the mercy of Stagma's vicious and ruthless attacks, but EXE does have a nice Phoenix Armada. Stagma has his own bomber Armada as well, so we'll keep an eye on that. We want to see what player uses their bombers more effectively. I have to say, EXE's air defense leaving something to be desired. But Stagma doesn't have the greatest air defense either. He does have a flacker or two, but both players with the potential at least to inflict crippling blows with their airstrikes, so Favela, the first sumos I've seen in this entire game. And as much as Stagma wants to break through, EXE always seems to have just enough to stop him. But it doesn't look like Red is moving to T3 yet, so still on the Bulldog game plan is Stagma. And now is Herald ready for an attack? He's got a lot of Reapers and Diplomats, but where are the Behemoths? Where are these tanky gods of T3? It's just going to take them a while to move down the map, but maybe Herald can do it without him. He's got a lot of Diplomats here. Potentially a critical mass of Diplomats. And he'll be targeting the defenses for sure. So Nimtodem looks like he's struggling on his energy right now. Herald, as you can see, definitely with the best eco in the game. Over 10,000 energy at the moment. So he's got enough. But does he have enough Diplomats? The first Chimera of the game moving into the north. And Herald definitely going to need these Behemoths to fight that. These Reapers are good, but they will begin to run out. And once again, I'm just waiting for these two air armadas that have been building up now for, I don't know, 10-20 minutes or more to finally make their appearance onto the battlefield. A single Chimera now reaching the front, and we're looking for Herald to have some kind of response. Losing that tactical nuke was a significant blow. If he still had it, he could use it to at least soften up this attack. But yeah, you can tell this is such a high-level game. Both teams really playing out of their minds, and the teamwork has been extraordinary as well. Everyone working together to try to keep the hopes alive, both on attack and defense. Stagma with so much firepower. But Earl now with these behemoths reaching the front line. What can he do? And see now, Rock went straight into the triple barrel behemoth, so I'm a little surprised Harold didn't do this himself. Because again, having this, having the extra barrel is going to make all the difference in the world, I think. But Harold deciding to go into mammoths now. Unfortunately, I think Nimsadem's army is looking really strong. We've got chimeras and bulldogs moving to the front lines. Can a few behemoths stop that? There's a lot of diplomats as well. Still waiting to see what happens with these bombers. I'm surprised we haven't seen any Bertha play on this map. This is a very open map. A lot of opportunities to use some long-range plasma cannons. But thus far, no one really relying on that strategy. Finally, Stagma with his bombing run that has been brewing for decades. He'll bring it into the fray, but it accomplishes almost nothing. EXE was more than ready for that. And I don't really like that Stagma brought it through the middle of everything. All the air defenses, all the defenders and the fighters, and just... that was one of the worst angles I think he could have brought it at. Maybe if he had brought it up the left side or through the middle here. Well, no, there's... that's tough. Could have perhaps off-mapped with it, but that's not it's not the most respectable strategy in the Escalation community, so I'm glad he didn't do that. We'll have to see if EXE can accomplish something equal or better to Stagma with his own Phoenix bombing campaign. Look at all these behemoths backed up with diplomats. Can the chimeras break through? It is a tall task, to be sure. Here in the east, it feels like we've reached a stalemate, but finally EXE, including those double barrel penetrators. I'm surprised it took him this long. That's such a great unit in this situation against an enemy just spamming hordes and hordes of bulldogs. But Rock now with his own triple barrel behemoths moving down the west side, and he will reach walls of sumos. Can he break through? Stagma has a lot of spiders. I don't know when he wants to use them. But if he wants to do a true push with the spiders in the front, it could help. But man, it is crazy to me just how even this game is. Like, both sides just building the right counters, having just enough production and eco to hold on, and finally EXE ready to unveil his master plan. The bombing run that has been developing for at least 30 minutes, finally ready to be revealed to the world in glorious fashion. What can he get achieved with it? He's taking out some of the eco. right now, this bombing run has not been that effective. It seems like Stagma was mostly ready for that and nipped at him with his freedom fighters also cleaning that up. So that bombing run achieved almost nothing, despite all the effort and resources. And I'm surprised EXE didn't start with the scouts. If he had started with the radar, perhaps maybe that would have ended a little better for him. But as of now, that definitely did not achieve what he needed it to be worth its cost. And I think Rock, he is perhaps pushing Pink into a corner here. He's been doing it all game, but now with these triple barrel behemoths, could he finally break through? Green has always come to Pink's help, but now with Harold pushing on Green, we'll have to see if he even has the resources to help his teammate. And Stagma doing his own push up the east side. But EXE has a ton of defense here. Lots of bulwarks and penetrators and tossers. This is such a close game, and both sides so close to breaking through multiple times. But I love how many diplomats Harold has here. That is just so many vertically launched missiles. Good God. It's going to force Green to have to retreat. But, yeah, diplomats here in the southwest as well. And enough sumos, perhaps, to keep Pink alive. The game continuing to, well, it's, the game is continuing to, produce these epic battles that just don't seem to end. EXE working on a second Phoenix bombing run, but I would be surprised if that works any better than the first time. And Harold now working on Ultra Aircraft Hangar. Let's see what Rock's doing. I don't see Rock doing anything too out of the ordinary, just still producing behemoths. Pink now going into Ultra K-Bots. I think he'll be the last player to get to T3. And Green just producing Chimeras non-stop. What is Stagma doing? Stagma working on Cerberus. So the game will continue. So far, very close. But EXE's addition of these double barrel penetrators definitely making the difference. Look at the range. Hitting the Merles from half the map away with the help of some tossers. I like what Stagma's doing, targeting the bulwarks. And Nymptodon now with 4 Chimeras moving through the front line, hitting Harold's base. And does Harold have enough to stop this? Harold does have a single mammoth, but no, he has 2 mammoths. But can 2 mammoths stop this many Chimeras backed up with some penetrators and bulldogs? I don't know. It's a really scary push that Green has. Battle raging on every single front. And it just seems like Pink, with these sumos, hanging on for dear life. But so is EXE hanging on for dear life. Now a Cerberus in the mix. But even the Cerberus is vulnerable to the penetrator spam. Harold asking for air. I think Harold knows that he's in trouble potentially. 4 Chimeras reaching the front. He is retreating, but he's got to find a way to hold. He definitely has to draw the line somewhere. Nymptonum cannot be allowed to simply walk into his base uncontested, but these Chimera, they're doing really well. Of course, they're all getting really low now, 3 of them in the red. So this push may be stopped just in time, but EXE finally bringing his bombers into the fray, and I think this is a much better use of them than attempting to hit Red's base, instead bombing his army. The Cerberus is almost dead. EXE may have reached a critical mass of penetrators. Nymptonum with so many Chimera, that's at least 5. One will finally die, and a couple other are low. But he is right at the door, right at the precipice of breaking through. Pink now asking for help in the chat. Rock has finally done it. It's taken him nearly an hour, or perhaps over an hour. But Rock has finally broken through. He's asking Green for help. In the meantime, EXE and Herald working together to try and defend themselves, and I think they will. I think this push will be stopped short. Great teamwork by Blue and Teal here. And this will cause Bright Green to... he will be forced to help his teammate as Rock finally reaching that point of no return. So many behemoths and pillagers. It becomes difficult or impossible to stop. Stagma with a second Cerberus, and EXE still with at least 10 penetrators. A lot of construction aircraft moving forward to try and build that mantle, and there's still an Ultra aircraft hangar in the works, but it's a far ways off from being done. And now Bright Green perhaps trying to counterattack into Rock's base, but Rock, he's done a decent job of defending himself. 3 Doomsday machines and a toaster. 2 toasters, and working on an Intimidator as well, so Rock's base is not going to be broken through anytime soon. But Stagma is already on T3 air. I didn't even realize this. I don't know when Stagma got here, but that is terrifying. I would love to see Stagma build an Aurora, but instead he's going for a Tempest. The Cerberus making it up to the front line, but I'd like to see... He needs to support this. The Cerberus is being surrounded by Zeus's. They're trapping it in place. Nymptonum doing what he can to keep Orange busy, but I feel like at some point Rock is simply going to overwhelm them with just the sheer amount of crap he sends into their base. Working on his second Ultra Vehicle plant as if one wasn't enough. Once that gets complete, you have to feel like Rock's production is going to reach the point that it cannot be stopped. But you can just see that this is a very high level game. Everyone playing so well and working with their teammates and protecting each other. The teamwork is the only reason this game is still going on. If it was just 3 1v1s, it would have been over a long time ago, but I do love that everyone is sort of working together, trying to keep their teammates alive, keep the team from crumbling. But what a game this has been. Stagma finally on that Tempest. But man, where is the Aurora? Where is the T3 nuclear bomber? Finally, here it is. So I think Stagma was probably building a Tempest just for defense. Tempests are very good in a defensive posture. As you can see, they just rain down hellfire from the sky and protect your front line from being overwhelmed. But maybe with this Aurora, he can finally deal some serious economic damage to EXE, who he thus far has not really been able to cripple. He's done some damage earlier in the game, but EXE always coming back with a vengeance, and now with all of these penetrators, it's looking very difficult for Stagma to break through, even with Cerberus. So once this Aurora finishes, we'll have to see if he wants to go in with just one Aurora, or if he'd rather build a maybe a fleet of Auroras, like 2 or 3, and then go in just to guarantee that he gets some damage done. It's always a difficult choice because going in with one, you can get quite a bit accomplished, but there's always a risk that the enemy shoots you down first. But with several Auroras, it's more or less guaranteed that you're going to take out some high-profile targets. But of course, it takes a long time to get more than one complete, or to build an army of them. So Stagma is going to have to decide whether he wants to take the risk of going with one and being disappointed, or simply play the waiting game until he can get an army of them. Looks like he may wait. Looks like he may wait until he has more. He's sending more scouts in, trying to get a lay of the land. But of course, Tag Rock now on 2 ultra vehicle plants. Oh. He does decide to go in with that one Aurora. And it doesn't seem like he got too much done with it, though. He didn't go for EXE's production or his eco. But he did kill a lot of EXE's army. I honestly didn't expect Stagma to use the Aurora like that. He bombed the penetrators. That is a really interesting use of it. And with all those penetrators being bombed, EXE is in trouble now. There's 5 Cerberus and a whole army of Merles and Bulldogs. I think Stagma may have done it. I think Stagma, using that Aurora in a really unexpected way. I mean, I didn't expect it, and EXE certainly didn't expect it. He used it to bomb EXE's penetrators into oblivion, and that will open up the attack vector into Dark Green's base. And there's no way EXE can stop this. He can bring his commander and maybe D-gun 1 or 2 Cerberus. But after that, he's going to die. There's no way he can stop all this with just his commander. So Stagma ultimately the first player to find a winning strategy, bombing EXE's penetrators, and then finishing him off with a well-timed push. And with that, I think EXE, he will simply crumble. In the south, Rock attempting to break through, but Pink holding on, Pink and Green holding on just long enough to allow Stagma to break into EXE's base and basically kill everything. All of EXE's eco up here, and once Stagma finds that, is truly over. So yeah, EXE going to be the first player to go. Nice play by Stagma. Like, even I, as the caster, I didn't really think about him using the Aurora to bomb EXE's army. But that's what he did, and it worked. Just very, very good thinking by Red. And now Red will break through. EXE is more or less gone. His commander is still cloaked. We don't know exactly where his commander is, but... yeah, we don't know where EXE's commander is exactly, but... either way, his base is... it's in shambles. There's not much left of it. And as you can see, once EXE falls, the southern team now breaking through. Stagma certainly going to continue applying more and more pressure on the east side. And Nimtodum in the middle. EXE not willing to give up. He will try to rebuild his base. But there's just no way. I mean, that would be insane if EXE could somehow come back from here and find a way to make a difference in this game at all. I would be rather amazed. But, you know, Rock, with these rapiers, he is putting a clinic on the southern team. All the gunships, raining down missiles, keeping the northern team from simply killing them. But now Stagma building the Vertigo, the armed T3 anti-air fighters, and with a second Aurora. This has to be it. There's no air defense up here at all. Stagma going through the ruins of EXE's old base to find undefended territory. Oh no, dude, and he's gonna bomb everything. That's gotta be it. That's gotta be it. There goes all the eco. Oh my god, there goes everything. Stagma absolutely crippling the northern team's eco, and that one beautifully executed bombing disaster. And with that, I mean, he has just cut the legs out from under them. Yeah, Harold even saying in the chat, I lose all E. Harold now with less energy than anyone except for EXE. So yeah, that's going to be game. Stagma definitely playing out of his mind here. He really, there at the end. Harold saying he played pretty bad. I will say that wasn't Harold's best game. It wasn't entirely his fault, though. He was stuck in the middle. And I feel like he didn't have access to as many resources as his teammates did. As you can see, green is sort of in Pink's base, so I feel like green took a lot of Pink's mexes, and that's sort of why Nim was able to do more. Of course, Harold could have probably still done his eco better. He could have converted, could have built some energy to mass conversion, that kind of thing, but I feel like if Harold had had one of the sides, he could have done more. But yeah, what a game. Guys, it's awesome to see everyone, to see these high-level 3v3 games and just how different they are in terms of the choices and the teamwork and the compositions that everyone makes. So we do appreciate that. I would love to see more high-level 2v2s and 3v3s and even 1v1s. But guys, thank you all for watching. I'm going to name Stagma MVP there. He was the one that was able to break through first. He ends up killing EXE, and then he basically won the game with his second Aurora bombing campaign. So thank you all for watching. There's a few big announcements that I will be making in the near future, and I will catch you in the next cast.